Believe it or not, it's been over 2 decades, 21 whole years since a Call of Duty was not released. In case you're incapable of math, that brings us all the way back to 2004, a time where George Bush was still in his first term. The Detroit Pistons were NBA champions. The Killers released the White Boy National Anthem, and these movies were still in theaters. It was a time where I'm sure a lot of people watching this video were still floating around in daddy's balls, and people like me were pretty fresh out of diapers. Every year for 21 years, developers had to come up with a new plot, setting, maps, guns, or at least try to. Since 2004, there's actually been more CODs than there have been years, thanks to the existence of MWR. Now, if CODs per year were some sort of metric, that would bring us to 1.04. Even in sports games like Madden or 2K, where the general setting and theme are inherently going to stay the same, this model for releases is just terrible for the quality and innovation for the series. It usually causes the franchises to not just stagnate and stay the same, but to revert and go backwards. And with a franchise like Call of Duty, it has long driven out the innovation, uniqueness, and the feeling of a fresh and exciting new release. Call of Duty is a much more intensive game to develop than 2K or Madden, requiring a complete change of setting, characters, maps, and guns across each release. If these games can't do the yearly release well, there is no way in hell that COD can. But yet, they have tried and tried. COD is suffering from a terrible, chronic illness called franchise fatigue. Or is it unbridled greed? Maybe it's just both. Now, I think it would be reductive to say that this franchise is tired, because this franchise was tired back in 2011. It was utterly exhausted in 2014. It was clinging to life in 2017. And since 2020, it has literally been a dead corpse being paraded around by Activision with their hand up its ass, working its mouth like a puppet. Kind of like the majority of American politicians. In 2025, we're getting Black Ops 7, made just a year after Black Ops 6. BO7 isn't even being made by Treyarch, the fathers of the Black Ops subseries, and it putridly reeks of Modern Warfare 3. Another game quickly shoved out by a completely different studio without the actual vision of what the game is supposed to be, who have no investment in the themes or the lore. And it's quite frankly almost comical at this point how much of a corporate stereotype that Call of Duty has become. Have you guys ever seen WALL-E or Interstellar, where humans are forced off Earth due to depleting finite resources? Well, that is kind of what Activision has done, except with ideas. Now, I'm sure to young kids and people who never played COD 15 years ago, it seems like, what's the big deal about uniqueness and new ideas? It's a game about shooting other people, nothing more, nothing less. But you see, ideas and freshness are the whole reason that you and I even know what Call of Duty is. Because COD 4 was one of the first modern combat games, and it massively popularized it. It was a whole new setting, with whole new guns, with new characters and factions, the whole shabam. The problem began immediately upon its release, because of the business model. You now need to quickly come up with a brand new game with novel ideas, only a year later. At first, COD was able to manage, with World at War being very familiar, yet the dark tones so easily deciphering it from other games. Modern Warfare 2 was the same setting as COD 4, but had so many innovations, and it was just a batshit insane game with it giving you the entire Avengers arsenal to use on your enemies. And perhaps the most unique game of all, Black Ops 1, a masterfully crafted setting between the old and the new, focused on not very explored territory in gaming, the Cold War and black operations. But then Modern Warfare 3 comes out, and it all seems to be getting a little stale, a bit too familiar. Like the game or not, it's not even an argument that this game is extremely derivative to Modern Warfare 2. Almost everything looks the same. It really just feels like Modern Warfare 2.5 or Diet Modern Warfare 2. It was the first COD for me personally. I just quit playing early on to instead play Battlefield 3, because that game was so new and fresh, and Modern Warfare 3 just felt like a worse version of my favorite game ever that released just 2 years prior. Black Ops 2 in Treyarch tradition would again innovate in a positive way, but this would be one of the last times the franchise would feel like it was innovating. There are a few other examples over the last 13 years, like Black Ops 3 or Prime Warzone, but it's also few and far between. And it's all because of this absolutely unsustainable model of Activision making sure there's a new and profitable game to release every November, being marketed before the current game's DLC season has even ended, and hitting the shelves right in time for the holiday. So here's the thing. In the grand scheme of war, COD has always been modern. Obviously, a vital aspect to the series is gunplay, so you're not moving back to the Crusades or 12th century Mongolia. Hell, you're not even going back to the American Civil War. So at this point, our time frame is quite limited, going back about 85 years. World War II, obviously we've done that. Vietnam era, late Cold War era, we've done that. Desert Storm period, we've done it. Modern war in the Middle East, we've done it. Near future and far future, we've done it. Most of these settings were present and also repeated in just a span of 6 years. The period where this release model actually had some success, 2007 to 2012, ended 13 years ago. That's over half my life. No matter if your developers and writers are world class, the simple fact is the finite amount of ideas at their disposal create a conflict over time. There's only so many places to go, so regardless of what they cook up, there was always going to be a problem. And the only way to mitigate it is to stretch those ideas out over an extended period of time. Not even George R.R. Martin could make this model work with his expert writing, but obviously you know his views on timeframes for releasing content. You're doing the devs zero favors here. Vince Zampella and Jason West, the creators of COD, back in the day actually expressed their concern with Activision's model of quantity over quality, before Activision conspired against them and fired them. They were the defenders and voices of this community, but no longer. The nerds who geeked out about a methodical approach to making games that they love are either gone or are being forced to quickly pull out their cookie cutters shaped like past CODs and to just slap a new one into the oven. Especially now with how much time is invested into graphics and textures, there's almost zero time for them to create much more than a basic skeleton. A technical working-ish version of the game. Yeah, it looks like COD sometimes, but it sure as hell doesn't feel like the old COD. The vast lack of maps, guns, factions, modes has been incredibly salient, especially in the last 5 years. Where you used to get 16 base maps at launch, now it's 6. 50 guns and tons of secondaries to around 60% of that, if that. Now we have no factions at all. We had all of these game modes to just these. If the developers don't have enough time to simply add in what was in the previous CODs, it's clear they don't even have close to enough time to add in new content. It's just a giant rush to produce another game, get it shipped, collect the money, and move on. And now I move on to what I see as the more important point in this video. There has never been nearly enough time to enjoy a Call of Duty. 1 year. One measly year. That is all we get. 365 days. Black Ops 3 feels like a more modern COD, right? Well, it's actually the dead smack middle game of the franchise now. It's that old, and that's how many CODs have been released since. You see, games like CSGO or Rainbow Six Siege have done right by their player bases. Over a vast period of time, they've aimed to keep the same game in place, but to add and fix it, to further build the player base over time and to let them enjoy their game without completely upending everything. Even Battlefield's model of every 2 to 3 years is vastly better, at least when the game is actually decent. It's actually incredibly insulting to me that these legendary games got little to no time to be truly enjoyed. Games like Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 1 were abandoned 15 plus years ago. These legendary titles deserved the R6 treatment of expanded content and years of fun to be had before the game is inevitably abandoned and hacked to shit. And just the sheer number of Call of Duties is bad for any player looking to go back to them. If you get on any past COD, there are players, usually sitting around 500 to 1,000 across 3 different platforms. But imagine if there were about half the CODs currently in existence, and suddenly all of these games become more populated and easily accessible, meaning more of the modes are playable. Because currently to play old COD, you can enjoy a steady helping of Team Deathmatch and basically only Team Deathmatch in 2-bar servers with just a sprinkle. No, check that, an industrial-sized crate of aimbotters. But what do you mean, Ben? What do you mean half the CODs? Bobby Kotick and now Microsoft and their shareholders would have never allowed that. Money is just too awesome. Well, imagine this utopia that I'm about to send you to. an alternate history for the COD timeline. Instead of every year a new COD, you have every 2. I'm just going to start with COD 4 because I think it was always bound to come out earlier than this model allows. And it's really the start of modern COD, AMW, if you will. So in 2007, you'd have COD 4, World at War in 2009, Modern Warfare 2 in 2011, Black Ops 1 in 2013, Modern Warfare 3 in 2015, Black Ops 2 in 2017, Ghosts in 2019, Advanced Warfare in 2021, Black Ops 3 in 2023, and we would currently be waiting on Infinite Warfare. And with the longer times to make the game, it's fair to say all these games would have ended up better with Ghosts, Advanced Warfare, and Infinite Warfare more than likely not even existing, being completely different games overall. And the even better model is to shift to a 3-year cycle, giving Treyarch and Infinity Ward each 6 whole years to make their games. And no, I did not forget Sledgehammer. That studio, completely devoid of even the smallest semblance of a unique idea, isn't allowed in my perfect world. So now you'd have World at War in 2010, Modern Warfare 2 in 2013, Black Ops 1 in 2016, Modern Warfare 3 in 2019, Black Ops 2 in 2022, and we'd currently be waiting on Ghosts, with Black Ops 2 being the current Call of Duty. These games have not come out. Black Ops 2 would have come out 10 years after its actual release, an insane yet amazing thought. A game so far ahead of its time that it could be released today, as is, only needing some graphical improvements to meet the standard. We'd get 3 long years to enjoy these amazing games. And then by the time we're finally tired, after all the expanded content and DLC offering, we can finally move on to a new COD with dozens of maps and guns and true innovation. Perhaps a campaign that's 12 hours long instead of just 3 to 4. Bigger and more complex zombies maps. 4 or 5 general modes for the games instead of just 3. There is really no telling what these teams could have done in 6 years. Overall, Activision has just had a gross lack of respect towards the series, its fans, and its developers. All COD is a cash cow. There's no room for super fans who are geeked out about the new Call of Duty. There's just charts, analytics, and advanced metrics that have turned money-making into a formula, with no room for creative risk-taking or just creativity at all. There is zero reverence, like Vince and Jason had. For 1 year, Activision hopes to see the new game and its bundles go flying off the digital shelves. And the second the 17th Black Ops game in a row comes out, they want the old games to die. Honestly, I'm just shocked that Activision doesn't shut down the servers after just a year or two like Madden and 2K do. And no, I'm not trying to give you fucks any ideas. Us fans are in a war, whether you know it or not. And we have been losing it for decades now. So what the fuck are we gonna do about it exactly? How are you gonna fight back? I have a silly idea. How about using our wallets? Because it is the only route, and it will forever be the only route. Have some standards, for Christ's sake, and stop buying the games. Shame on whoever is still buying this regurgitated crap. It's the true definition of mindless consumption. Thank you.